When Diesel Brothers exploded onto Discovery Channel in 2016, Josh "Redbeard" Stuart was right there from the start. The business brains behind Heavy D's wild diesel empire, the ginger-bearded money man who turned a garage operation into a multi-million-dollar phenomenon. But then something strange happened. Season 5 rolled around, and Redbeard was just gone. No announcement, no farewell episode, nothing. Even his own crew seemed baffled. Where's Redbeard? Became the question nobody could answer. And the theories? They ranged from legal nightmares to personal tragedy. What really happened to the man who helped build an empire? Before there was a Diesel Brothers empire, there was just Heavy D with a dream and a wrench. But dreams don't pay bills, and building monster trucks doesn't happen without serious cash flow management. That's where Josh Stuart came in. Redbeard wasn't just another grease monkey who could swap an engine. He was the guy who understood profit margins, inventory costs, and how to turn viral YouTube pranks into actual revenue streams. When Heavy D and Diesel Dave needed someone to handle the business side, Redbeard was the obvious choice. The nickname came naturally. The man had a massive red beard. Simple as that. But there was nothing simple about what he brought to diesel sellers. While the other guys were rolling coal and hiding each other's trucks for laughs, Redbeard was making sure they could afford to keep the lights on. He came from Roosevelt, Utah, a small town in the Uinta Basin where diesel wasn't just a hobby, it was a way of life. Everyone drove diesel trucks there. If you didn't, you wished you did. His screen time was always limited compared to Heavy D and Diesel Dave. Redbeard preferred working behind the scenes, crunching numbers while the cameras followed the wild builds and wilder pranks. But make no mistake, without him, there would be no show, no Discovery Channel deal, no nationwide fame. He transformed a local fix-it shop into a brand that diesel enthusiasts across America recognized instantly. By the time Season 4 wrapped, Diesel Sellers was generating serious money, Heavy D was building mansions, and Redbeard's estimated net worth hit $900,000. Everything seemed perfect, but perfection never lasts. Season 5 premiered, and something was immediately wrong. The usual crew gathered for their planning meeting, but one chair sat empty. Keaton Hoskins, known as the Muscle, finally asked what every viewer was thinking. Where's Redbeard? Diesel Dave's response only made things weirder. Isn't he usually in these meetings to yell at us? He joked nervously. But Redbeard didn't show up for the next episode either, or the one after that. Fans started flooding social media, demanding answers. Instagram comments piled up on his page. Where are you? Are you okay? Are you still part of the show? Redbeard stayed silent. Discovery Channel's website still listed him as an official cast member. His bio remained unchanged, still written in present tense like he was showing up to film every day. His Instagram bio still read co-founder of Diesel Sellers, Diesel Power Gear, and Diesel Brothers. Everything suggested he was still involved, but nobody could explain why he'd disappeared from screens. Heavy D and Diesel Dave seemed genuinely confused when asked about their missing partner. They didn't have answers either, or at least none they were sharing publicly. The internet did what the internet does best. Theories exploded across forums and comment sections. Some fans speculated he'd had a falling out with the crew. Others wondered if health issues were keeping him away. A few suggested he was just tired of the fame and wanted more privacy. But none of these theories explained the complete radio silence. No announcement, no farewell, no explanation whatsoever. Just an empty chair where one of the founding members used to sit. And as Season 5 continued without him, it became clear this wasn't a temporary absence. Redbeard had walked away from the empire he helped build, and nobody knew why. While Redbeard's absence raised questions, another storm was brewing. Utah physicians for a healthy environment had been watching the Diesel Brothers for years, and they weren't impressed by the black smoke billowing from modified exhausts. In 2016, they filed a lawsuit that would change everything. The accusation? Systematic violations of the Clean Air Act. The environmental group didn't just complain, they bought a truck directly from Sparks Motors and shipped it to Colorado for testing. The results were damning. Without its required emissions equipment, that truck spewed 36 times more pollution and 21 times more particulate matter than federal law allowed. By 2018, a judge issued an injunction ordering the Diesel Brothers to stop removing emissions controls. They kept building trucks anyway. In March 2020, federal judge Robert Shelby dropped the hammer. David Heavy D Sparks, Joshua Redbeard Stuart, and Keaton the Muscle Hoskins were ordered to pay $851,451 in fines. Redbeard was specifically named as one of the 3 defendants. The court didn't buy their excuses. Judge Shelby noted they'd profited massively from these violations, pointing to Heavy D's helicopter, planes, and 7,500-square-foot mansion under construction. Court records showed Heavy D alone made $482,000 from discovery in just 2 years. The crew tried to appeal, claiming they only modified around 17 trucks, not the hundreds alleged. Their lawyer argued the Diesel brothers' community contributions outweighed their violations. The judge wasn't convinced. He prohibited them from ever removing pollution controls again, warning that future violations would mean contempt of court. The timing was impossible to ignore. Redbeard disappeared from the show in 2019. The massive fine hit in 2020. Was the legal pressure too much? Had he seen the writing on the wall and stepped back before things got worse? The lawsuit certainly didn't help his situation. But there was something else happening in 2020. Something far more devastating than any lawsuit. Redbeard's brother passed away unexpectedly. The loss hit hard. While the Diesel brothers were dealing with courtrooms and environmental activists, Redbeard was grieving privately. He'd always been the most reserved member of the crew, the one who pulled back when pranks got too wild, the one who valued family over fame. Now he was facing the kind of loss that forces you to reevaluate everything. Redbeard had 4 kids with his wife April. They'd been married since 2008, celebrating 12 years together in May 20. In his anniversary post, he wrote something telling, "Lord knows I haven't made it easy, and not only has she hung in there, but she's done it with style and grace. She is by far my best friend in the world." His Instagram showed a man who treasured his family above everything else. Wolfgang, Luna, Sunny, and Rad appeared in outdoor adventures, family moments, wholesome content that had nothing to do with diesel trucks or reality TV drama. The theory started circulating among fans. Maybe Redbeard hadn't been pushed out. Maybe he'd chosen to walk away. Losing a sibling changes your perspective on what matters. Suddenly, spending months filming a reality show while your kids grow up doesn't seem as important. The legal troubles, the environmental backlash, the pressure of maintaining a public persona, all of it probably felt meaningless compared to being present for his family during their grief. Redbeard had always been the business mind, the one who understood when to cut losses. Perhaps he'd simply decided that his family needed him more than diesel sellers did. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose the people you love over the empire you built. What made Redbeard's departure even stranger was what he didn't do. No dramatic exit, no tell-all interview, no social media post explaining his decision. He just stopped appearing. His Instagram remained active, but the content shifted. Instead of promotional videos for diesel builds and diesel sellers merchandise, his feed showed wellness springs he'd helped restore, family outings, personal projects that had nothing to do with the show. He posted photos from weddings he attended, adventures with his kids, glimpses into a quieter life, but never a word about Diesel Brothers. Fans kept asking in his comments, "Come back to the show. We miss you, Redbeard. What happened?" He didn't respond to any of them. The silence felt deliberate, like he'd made peace with his decision and didn't owe anyone an explanation. Meanwhile, Heavy D and Diesel Dave continued posting about their builds, their YouTube channel, their ongoing projects. Redbeard still followed them on social media. They followed him back. No signs of bad blood or burned bridges, just distance. Some people found his silence frustrating. After years of watching him help build something iconic, fans felt they deserved closure. But maybe that's the point. Redbeard had never been the attention seeker. He'd always been the behind-the-scenes guy, the one who made things work while others took the spotlight. Walking away quietly fit his personality perfectly. No drama, no spectacle, just a clean exit when the time felt right. In March 2020, he appeared on the Mormons on Mushrooms podcast, but even that interview didn't address the elephant in the room. He talked about life, business, personal growth, everything except why he'd left the show that made him famous. The message was clear. That chapter had closed, and Redbeard had moved on. As of 2025, Redbeard remains officially connected to Diesel Sellers as a co-founder. His name still appears on company materials. His Instagram bio still lists Diesel Power Gear and Diesel Brothers. But his last credited appearance on the show was back in 2019, 6 years ago. The show itself ended after Season 8 in December 2022, with Heavy D and the crew announcing they'd chosen to stop filming for Discovery and return to creating content independently on YouTube. By that point, Redbeard had already been gone for 3 years. His current ventures seem focused on wellness and family. He's been involved with Avanto Cold Plunge, posting about health and recovery rather than diesel builds and truck giveaways. His social media shows a man who's found peace away from cameras and controversy. He celebrated his 15th wedding anniversary recently, his kids are growing up, and he appears to be living life on his own terms. The estimated $900,000 net worth he built through diesel sellers presumably gives him the freedom to choose projects that matter to him rather than chasing fame. There's been speculation that he might still be involved in the business side of diesel sellers behind the scenes, handling finances and operations without appearing on camera. That would make sense given his skill set and founding role. But without confirmation from Redbeard himself or the remaining crew members, it's impossible to know for sure. What's clear is that he hasn't been pushed out or forgotten. The company he helped build still stands, the brand still thrives, and somewhere in Utah, Redbeard is living a quieter life than the one reality television offered, surrounded by family and focused on ventures that don't require explaining himself to millions of viewers. So what really happened to Josh Redbeard Stuart? The truth is probably simpler and more complicated than any single theory suggests. It wasn't just the lawsuit, though defending an $850,000 fine certainly didn't help. It wasn't just his brother's death, though grief has a way of reshaping priorities. It wasn't just family obligations, though 4 kids and a wife who'd supported him through 12 years of chaos deserved his attention. It was likely all of these things combining into one unavoidable realization: the life he was living wasn't the life he wanted anymore. Redbeard helped turn a Utah garage into a national phenomenon. He managed the money that made monster builds possible. He navigated the business complexities that kept diesel sellers profitable while his partners focused on creating content. His contributions were foundational, even if his screen time was limited. But foundations don't need to stay visible forever. Sometimes the smartest business decision is knowing when to step back. The mystery might never be officially solved. Redbeard doesn't seem interested in providing closure to curious fans. He's moved on, and perhaps that's the most telling answer of all. In an era where reality TV stars cling to relevance long after their shows end, Redbeard chose differently. He built something incredible, walked away on his own terms, and refused to let anyone else narrate his exit. Maybe we'll never know the full story of why he disappeared. Maybe that's exactly how he wants it. In the end, Josh Redbeard Stuart proved something important. You can help create an empire and still choose to leave it behind. Sometimes the strongest move isn't holding on, it's letting go. And somewhere in Utah, the man with the red beard is living proof that you don't owe the world your story just because they watched part of it unfold.